Welcome back, everyone, to the Undergraduate Survival Guide podcast. This is, of course, the host, Jordan. After weeks of revision and interview prep, we are finally back again with a new episode. And today, we sit down with my good friend, Moses Ola, who's a recent Aerospace Engineering Graduate from the University of Bristol. In this episode, we talk about inner motivation, self-belief, and perseverance through difficult times at university in what is, I believe, to be one of the, very, very personal, quite a deep episode where we explore a lot of Moses' feelings throughout summer university. And I genuinely believe that if you're someone who's going through a difficult time at uni, if you're looking for self-motivation, self-belief, this is a great episode to check out. Listen to until the end. And of course, as always, let us know in the comments or my DMs or whatever, how you found it and what else you'd like to know. Whether you're tuning in on streaming platforms or the YouTube channel, I'm very, very, very appreciative of all of you guys out there who are supporting the podcast, listening each week and giving us feedback. If you haven't already, please subscribe to. If you haven't already, please follow us on Instagram. I think there's a lot of great content out there. I'm really trying to put out new stuff, new creative stuff, new valuable stuff for you guys. And also the Twitter page as well. Both of the links will be in the description below. Otherwise, we're just found at @_UGSG1. But with all that said, let's get into a conversation with Moses. What's up, everyone? This is Jordan from the Undergraduate Survival Guide. Today we have a very special guest, a new time first class degree graduate. Moses, my guy, what you saying?
I'm doing very well. I was waiting for the invite to be on this podcast. I was starting to think, am I successful enough in Jordan's eyes? It took him 4 or 5 months, or even longer than that. How long has this podcast been going on for? It's the start of the year, basically.
Yeah.
And it's taking this long to get me on the podcast. I was starting to think, man, am I even successful? What am I doing with my life? But it's great to finally be here. It's great to finally spit some wisdom on the UDSG podcast.
Lovely stuff, man. I told you we were waiting this whole time for that certificate validation to come through.
Well, first class graduates on the podcast. I understand. It's a high standard. I'm happy that I'm able to be part of the standard now.
Trust. It's wavy, man. Congrats again. It's a very big achievement, man.
Thank you very much. I mean, I actually got, so for anyone listening, myself and Jordan, we've been at Bristol for the past 4 years. And actually I only received my confirmation that I graduated, yesterday morning. So, the news is still pretty fresh. It's not really even sunk in that much. I'm sort of semi-hungover because I've been celebrating since yesterday. But, now honestly, thank you so much, because I think for a lot of graduates, or people that are still at university now, that confirmation when you receive it of everything that you've been working towards, genuinely, it's the sweetest thing. It's the sweetest taste ever, because you go through these 4 years and you're working every day, working hard every day. And sometimes you just don't see the end in sight. And even when, you achieve a certain milestone, sometimes you're not even able to fully enjoy it because you know how much there's still left to go, or that this is just the start, or, and to me that can become demoralizing. And when I was in first year, I can remember, so one of our family friends who's a professor at UE said to my parents, he literally said to us that there's going to be one time, at least one point, where Moses is going to get to a point where he doesn't want to do this degree anymore. He wants to give it up. It just will get too much for him, and he'll think of quitting. And immediately I was thinking, what is this guy like? This guy just dissing me. Do you know what I mean? Like, I was like, wait, what do you know of me? Like, I was coming up for A level. I was like, do you know what? I've got A*, AA. I'm not quitter. I didn't know nothing. But he was right. Find me a graduate, who at no point in their uni life ever thought, I've had enough. And I'll just find you somebody that's a liar, or somebody who just went to uni to bust in finance and never actually went to any lectures. Do you know what I mean? It's like every single student got to that one point where they didn't want to do it anymore. And, perseverance. And that's what makes it sweet at the end of the day, because when you get to the end and you finally receive the recognition of your hard work, there's nothing like it. So, well done to every single person who's managed to complete uni, and for those that are still there, keep going. It will come.
Yeah, for sure, man. Like, having seen not just you, but also everyone else, like Brian, Ash, everyone doing well. It's like, obviously for me, I'm still here. And as we briefly discussed before the podcast, I might have another year on the cards, but it's like, I can see the elation and like how happy everyone is, how proud everyone is. And it's like, for the first time, I've actually seen like, all right, even though, first year, second year, third year might be long, like when you're done, it really is done and it really does feel good. And it's like, yeah, like I'm proud of everyone. It's nice to see, all the hard work culminating in something like so special for a lot of people.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is the thing, like, I can remember even last year when some of them that did the 3-year course were already graduated, and I can just remember the smile on their face. Like, so some of my friends, somebody called Tyrone, Ayo, Cher, or, the people that I lived with and was friends with throughout my whole time at Bristol, when you see that smile on their face, like, you can't compare it. Like, it's just a moment where you're just so proud of yourself, and there's just so much joy in your chest, like in your heart. Like, no one can take that smile away from you because you deserved it. You worked so hard for it. And I can even remember there's a point this year. So the reason I actually got my certificate so late, or my grade so late, was because I had to defer my learning into September. And I can remember during July when all my friends, my aerospace course mates that had graduated, and I was there, I was in the Zoom call with them, and everyone's got their graduation hats on and they've got their virtual backgrounds where they're just celebrating. And I was there knowing that my dissertation is still waiting for me. You know what I mean? That dis is still waiting for me. I can remember, like, I nearly broke down. Like, literally, I went to the kitchen, I was trying to talk to my mom, and suddenly I just realized, like, I'm breaking down, like crying basically, because I was like, I've been working so hard past 4 years. I'm still working and working and working, and I'm still not done yet. And everyone else has gotten to finish before me and have their joy, their moment before me. And I think, this is one thing that is so great about having people around you that can encourage you, like a parent or like a friend, when you're in those moments where, because this is the thing, obviously, if you look in the wider thing, like the wider viewpoint, obviously, that there's a time for everyone, and everyone knows this. Everyone knows that, there's no use comparing yourself and all these sort of things that we know. But when you're in the moment, you struggle to think about that. You just focus on the negatives or the things that weigh you down in the moment. But it was great for me to have my parents to encourage me, because it is right that there is a time for everyone, and you might just think that, because you've been working so hard, just like everyone else, you should have your own success at the same time as everyone else. But it doesn't work out like that, and that's another thing that you have to really learn about life, and you have to take that on as well. But like I said before, when you finish, or when it gets to that point, it tastes even sweeter because you had to work even that much longer for it. And, these 4 years, I wouldn't trade it for anything. I can remember, like, there was a time in March where I literally sent an email to my supervisor. I was like, I'm out, like, I'm going to drop out. And he was there encouraging me to carry on and see it through, because I'd already done at that point, 3.8 years out of 4. And he was like, there's no point trying to quit now. Like, you just got last hurdle. And sometimes it is that last hurdle that's the hardest one to jump over. But once you do it, it's the sweetest moment.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Do you think, like, because obviously you talked about it briefly just now, like in March, and you said you kind of broke down a bit in the summer. Was there ever like a moment where you just, like, you kind of made your ultimate challenge and it's like, how am I going to get past this? And then, like, I don't know, how would it feel to actually beat that?
Yeah, so I don't know how many of you listening here today are engineering grads, because this is the thing, man. And I say this respectfully, obviously, because I do know everyone that's gone to uni has worked hard, and, there is no gimme degrees and anything like that. I don't believe that there is. But man, engineering grads, I tip my hat to you, because the things we have to do at uni I just don't see any other students having to do it. Right. So I studied 4 years of aerospace engineering, which is, I'd say definitely probably the hardest engineering degree. No bias.
Okay.
No bias. But, I think the thing with aerospace is just because it covers all sorts of engineering. So you have to do coding, you have to learn structures, you have to learn, materials, you have to learn aerodynamics, you have to learn, obviously you have to really good at maths, you have to learn electronics, you have to learn everything basically. So for me, I think my toughest challenge this year was with my dissertation. So there was a period, and I don't know how many people knew this because, I don't tend to be the person that actually goes and tells people when I'm struggling. And that's something I definitely had to work on a lot during this year. But there was a period of 6 straight months where I made zero progress with my dissertation. Zero progress. So, so the dissertation, we've been given it since September and we were meant to finish it by March or April. I think with COVID, when COVID came, they extended the deadline to May and stuff. But there was a period between December to June where I promise I made zero progress. And I got to June or May, June, July time, and I was literally thinking, I'm going to submit nothing. I'm genuinely going to have nothing to submit. And it got to the point where my supervisor was thinking, we might literally have to change your whole dissertation projects, something that is a continuation. So in aerospace, the way that we did it was you do your year 3 dissertation and then you continued it and expanded it and made it a year 4 dissertation.
Okay.
So this is something I'd been working on at the time for about 18 months. And this guy's telling me 2 weeks before the deadline, you might have to start a whole new dissertation. So that's when I sent him the email saying, you know what? It's been fun. I'm dropping out. Do you know what I mean? There's no two ways about it. So that was definitely my toughest challenge. And one thing I had to do, because at the same time as well, when I was making zero progress, my dissertation, all my other modules were piling up. The deadlines were coming thick and fast for them. And then I had an internship that was coming up starting at the first week of July. So in my head, I'm thinking, I'm making zero progress in my dissertation. I've got 4 or 5 other modules that need to be done. And then I've got an internship coming up in July, which is basically a make or break career, defining internship. And then somehow, some way, I still need to finish this dissertation so I can graduate. So I'm thinking I've done all these 3-4 years, basically to a point where in a space of 4 or 5 weeks, it could all go down the drain.
Mad.
And that was tough. That was a gut check moment. It was just like, okay, what? I didn't prepare for this. I didn't plan for this. I didn't think I'm gonna have, because my first three years, I wouldn't say it was plain sailing, but it was definitely relatively easier, and I was able to get through pretty much everything. Obviously, working hard, but I never got to a point where I was like, oh, I don't think I can do this anymore in those first 3 years. And then in the final months of 4th year, I'm literally thinking it's time to give it all up, genuinely. So that was tough for me. And one thing, like I said, having great people around you, like my supervisor as well, who I owe the world to, something genuinely such a nice guy. And he was able to push me and motivate me. And then I think for me, I needed to just find that inner source of motivation from somewhere. And, there was a period where I'd literally just leave the house and I'd go for a walk for 2 hours and just be just thinking, getting my mind straight, getting my mind clean, trying to, literally trying to find something inside of you to kickstart you, just to find some way to not give up and not, look at the negatives, but try and just remain positive and work hard. And it's tough, and not everyone, can find that inner source of motivation. I didn't have it for a long, long time. But I think, I had to just realize, I've come this far, and it's not about, you don't want to give up once you've come this far. You don't want to, have that close but, no cigar moment and live to regret it afterwards. So I just thought, it's make or break. This is what's going to define me as a person. And I want to be able to come out of this and say, not only, was I successful, but I gave it my all. So one thing I did, I just said, okay, I'm going to defer my dissertation and focus on it on the end. I'm going to just break it down and take it one, step by step, finish off all my other modules, do my internship, and then come back to my dissertation. And I was able to do that successfully. And yesterday when I saw my grades, I was like, wow, I'm so happy that, I was able to push myself and, find that last drip of motivation, because I'm telling you, it was the last drip, literally, of motivation.
Yeah, that's nuts, man. That's nuts. I want to ask, because I think even me myself, I've been at a similar point in the last few months. But for me, I don't know. I kind of got to a conclusion where it's like, I guess I followed out the law of sunken costs, and it's like I put in 4 years. Let me just, finish it. I don't want to have wasted these 4 years.
Mm.
Was your motivation from a similar place, or did you actually find something that's like, what, if I get this degree, I can go on, finish internship, get the job? And I guess what I'm asking is, was there a bigger plan at length? Did you have a bigger goal, or was it more or less like, I've been here for 3.8 years of my degree, let me just finish it?
Yeah, so I think for me, I draw motivation from different places. So I don't have one source of motivation. I have internal motivation and external motivation. But at that one point, I did get to a point where there was no external motivation that could help me at that point. It had to be something that I genuinely wanted to do.
Yeah.
Right. In terms of just wider, so I'll just explain over the 4 years, what motivated me getting me through. So I'd say from an external point, definitely career was one thing, right? Wanting to be successful in my career and get into the field of work that I wanted to. I knew that I had to finish strong, finish at least above a 2-1. But I always wanted to get a first. I think that for me was just always my outset goal from the start, which is an internal thing. I think I always just, because throughout school, throughout Gcse, stuff like that, I've always tried to be, get good grades. So I just wanted to carry that on. And then externally, I think one thing which sometimes when I explain this to people, some people understand it and some people think maybe I have a serious problem. But I definitely compare or pit myself against people, especially my friends. And I don't even know how many of them know this. I don't know if I've explained this to many of them, but I definitely look at every single one of my friends and say to myself, okay, I want to, in terms of, this is just uni grades, not in terms of being successful outside of uni or anything like that. In terms of just uni grades, I've always said, I want to do just as well or even better than every single one of my friends. Mm-hmm. And that to me was always a way to keep a competitive edge. And it never boiled over to a point where, I'm rooting for my friends to not do well, because, they would have spotted that out from the onset, because they know that I cheer them on just as much as anyone else. But for me, especially with my course mates, with my aerospace course mates, I always wanted to know that I was doing just as well as them or even better, because I knew that they were going to do well, right? And if they're all getting first and I'm the only one getting a 2-1, then I wouldn't be happy with that. If they're all getting 2-1s and I'm the only one getting a 2-2, then I wouldn't be happy with that. Yeah. So that to me was always a source of external motivation. I can remember, and Ash doesn't know this, so one of my flatmates called Ash, I can remember in second year, so we were living in a flat of 8 people, and there was another of my flatmates called Tiger. And I can remember Ash said to me in the kitchen, because in first year we all got our results, and I got first in first year, and I think Tiger did as well, and some other people did. I can't remember now. And I think Ash said to me, and it wasn't a malicious comment or anything like that. It was just what he thought. Like he said to me, "Oh, Tiger's the smartest person I know." And I was there standing next to him. I was like, "What about me?" Do you know what I mean? Like, but it's not a thing where like I was like just thinking, "Oh, I have to be better than Tiger" or anything like that. No, it was just I've always been in a position where I want to be the smartest person in a room, right? Like I've just always wanted to be that way. Like I've always wanted, like wherever I go, I want to be the smartest person in the room. And that's something I've always kept with me from such a young age. I don't know. I can't explain, and that's why I'm saying some people say they can understand it, and some people think I have a really serious problem. And I understand both sides. Like I might have to see a therapist one day, but at the same time, that sort of comment, and obviously he didn't mean to, say I was dumb or anything, but like Michael Jordan said, it became personal for me. You know what I mean? It became personal for me, and at the end of second year, I think I got like 79% that average that year. And I was just there. And obviously I don't know what anyone else got or anything, but in my head, and I never went around saying, "Oh, look, I got 79% or anything." I don't know if I even told anyone, but in my mind, I was just like, okay, beat that. Do you know what I mean? Like in my mind, it's like, okay, beat that. Like, am I the smartest person, now? Who knows? But I've definitely put the bar where I wanted to put it. Do you know what I mean? And like that kind of Michael Jordan Mamba mentality but silently, right? So it's not something I put out there, but it's something that definitely drives me, in like everything I do. I genuinely don't ever want to feel like any of my friends are smarter than me, just because it's like, this is the thing, and that's the thing, I have to take it the right way. It's not like I'm thinking, oh, they have to be dumber than me. No, it's just, if you're really smart, I want to be just as good as you. You know what I'm saying? Right. And that's how I look at it. I don't look at it as I want you to do badly so that I am smarter than you. No, it's like, I want you to do just as well so that I can be just as good as you, And if you keep, because I have course mates who, even when I was getting high grades, they were getting higher grades, right? And if there's one time that I got a higher grade than one thing that they did, then I'd be like, okay, cool. Like I beat you here, you beat me here, that kind of thing. That's how it happens. It's not like every single time I was going above and beyond to like try and just say, oh, I got more than you. No, it wasn't like that. It was more, they do well here, then I'll be like, okay, I should have probably done better here. And then another exam comes and I do better than them here. And then they can do better than me. And it's just like internal motivation. And I don't speak about it. I support them in all I do. I give them my answers. They give me their answers. Like we support them. But in my mind, I'm thinking I need to just do as well as you're doing. So that's the external point of view. But there is a point in life where that really can't carry you that much. Like it can get you so far, but it can't get you to your end goal. Your real motivation has to come internally. And for me, I think a lot of, some of it is like just my internal pride and, not wanting to give up and stuff like that. And then I think for me, I just didn't want to let myself down. It's not that I want to let my parents down because they don't put pressure on me really to do anything. It's myself. I don't want to let myself down. I don't want to look back and think in any moment I didn't work as hard as I could have, or I didn't give it everything that I could have. Do you know what I mean? Like, and there have been moments where I do feel like I didn't give something my all. And I realized, okay, you didn't get it because you didn't give it your all, And it's like reducing those moments where you didn't give something your full attention, or you were just lackadaisical in your approach, and you learn from those moments and make sure that you don't make the same mistakes again. So for me, towards the end of the year, my internal motivation, because I was dealing with a lot of stuff as well, just like every other student, COVID was going on, Black Lives Matter movement was going on, and then we're broke. There's just so much else that's going on at the same time. And, you have to then dig even deeper and say, okay, why am I doing this? Like my internal motivation, my pride, not wanting to give up, wanting to be successful, knowing that as a Black man in life, we can't settle for being mediocre sometimes, even though the world should allow us to be mediocre. We know the realities of that. If we are mediocre, we probably won't get that far in life, So there was a lot of things going on through my mind, but I think overall it was just that fundamental aspect of wanting to get to a point where I say, I've worked as hard as I could and given everything my best go. And then you live with the results, you don't, even if you worked as hard and just, it doesn't work out for you, you can be content, and I can be content because I know that I didn't leave anything to chance and I gave it everything that I could have. And even if I didn't get the first, or if I got a 2-1, you know what? I was ready. When I was opening my results, I was ready to see if I got 2-1, I was going to be like, you know what? Fair enough. I got 2-1, but guess what? I worked as hard as I bloody could. And there is nothing that can take away my own pride in my own hard work. My pride isn't in the grades. My pride is in my hard work and like my perseverance. So that to me is where internal motivation comes from.
Yeah, I hear that still. Because even me myself, like I'm quite competitive, and more so in school, I guess. Whenever my friend Michael got better than me in maths, I'm like, nah, I can't let this run. I gotta double up my maths.
You have to look. I'm so competitive in everything I do. Look, everyone hates playing poker with me. Everyone hates playing FIFA with me because I will sweat the goal. I will score sweaty goals. I do not care. I will score sweaty goals because I want to win that match at all costs. Like, I'm just one of those people that I'm just insanely competitive in a lot of things. And sometimes it's healthy and sometimes it can be unhealthy, but it's about finding that balance. I'd say I have in terms of unhealthy to healthy, it's a 60-40 split. Like 60% is unhealthy, and I'll admit that 60% is unhealthy. But for me, that's a comfortable region, right? I don't think I could be the other way around. I'd say that. No, honestly, look, mate, maybe I sound like I'm probably the biggest a-hole that you've had here on this podcast because of what I'm saying, but I don't know. I don't feel like I'm the only one that feels this way. I feel like people like, MJ, Kobe, I'm not saying I'm them, I'm not them, because I can't jump for anything. I think I'm a white man if I'm to jump. But I think it works for some people that they need to have that unhealthy competition about them, like where you literally take everything. Well, I'm not as bad as them guys, but you take a lot of things as like, because I remember the first time I ever played 2K. Josh remembered this. So Josh is another one of our flatmates. The first time I ever played NBA 2K, Josh spanked me all my days. And you know what? You know what I did, yeah? You know what I did? There'll be times, this is the second year, yeah? There'll be times Josh will come home from uni and he'll see me in the living room playing 2K by myself, just practicing. Do you know what I mean? Just practicing. And then I said, okay, Josh, play me one more time. And I played this guy out of the park, man. Out of the park. Until then, he's never beat me. So if you're listening, Josh, step up, G. But those sort of things, like the fact that he beat me that one time, fam, I made sure I bought that game and I never stopped playing it. Do you know what I mean? And I bought all the other, because this was what, NBA 2K18. I bought 2K18, 2K19, 2K20, 2K20. just so I keep beating this guy. Do you know what I mean? So it is, it's like I said, it's a 60-40 unhealthy to healthy split. But, whatever works for you, if it's 50-50, if it's 40-60, if it's 100% healthy, then, it's fair enough. But yeah, whatever works for you, you just need to find a way to be externally and internally motivated. Both are very important, definitely.
Yeah, for sure. Because I feel like there are always going to be times where your internal motivation might die down or similar with your external motivation. Yeah. So it's perfect. Like if you have a balance between the two, and I think on top of that as well, like this is something that I look up to you and Brian a lot for. Like when I see, and Tim as well, to be fair, on how you kept up going gym for so long. Like that just comes down to discipline. And when you can balance like internal, external motivation, and then even when you're not motivated, you still know, like, I got to go to the gym, I got to go to the library, got to do this. It's like, that's, I don't know, I think it's a tall person thing, maybe. Like, you keep referencing MJ and Kobe, like, maybe I'm just too short to be successful.
Nah, man. I mean, no, you're flattering me with Jim there, because I mean, I know there was some times where I was consistent, but there were some times where I've fallen off, and I still haven't been since like March, I think. But definitely, I think in terms of like gym and being physically disciplined, there's nobody better than, like, I think Shea and Brian. Those guys are like, yeah. So whoever's listening,
Shea is illegal.
Friends, yeah, this guy, yeah. I don't know how to explain it. That's a militant. I always call him militant. This guy, he moves like he grew up in the military sometimes. Just fixed regimen. But to be fair, I don't think, looking back at uni, I was not that type of student. I wasn't a, fixed, disciplined student that needed to wake up at a certain time and work at a certain time and be at the library at a certain time and sleep at a certain time. Because I think we had a flatmate like that. So Adam is definitely one person that, listen, 9 p.m., 10 p.m., this guy's in bed. He's up by 7 a.m. He has a routine, and he loves working with a routine and having structure. For me, and this is the thing, when students come to me or anyone comes to me and it's like, oh, what's your routine? Or how did you study? I can't explain that question, because there'll be some times where I wake up 6 a.m., 7 a.m., and I'm at the library by 9 a.m., and I'm not back until 6 p.m. And there are some times where I don't leave bed until 1 p.m., and I get to my desk at 6 p.m., and I work till 1 a.m., and then I wake up again at 8 p.m., and it's a different day to the last day. So it depends the type of student you are, honestly. I think some students don't like structure, and I think I'm one of those students, because I think for me, structure becomes routine and chores. It's like, it just gives me that whole, I'm not having that freedom that I want. It's not giving me room for creativity or, thinking off the cuff, thinking outside the box. Like, I just start to feel like I'm back at home. I'm back in school. So for me, throughout the whole 4 years at uni, I'd say during the exam period, I probably became more structured, just because that's when you have to knuckle down. But during the year, even when I'm doing courseworks and stuff like that, I never really was structured every day. No.
Yeah, I hear that. But I guess it comes down to like knowing how many hours you have and then making the most of them while they're there. Because it's like, late, you make the most of like getting up at 8 p.m.
Yeah, I mean, you always hear everyone has the same 24 hours. All that.
Yeah.
For me, like, I do believe that, yeah, everyone does have the same 24 hours. But do you need to have 9 hours every day doing something? Like, do you need to spend the same time every day? Like, do I need to be in the library 6 hours a day every day? Because there are some times where I'm in the library, and in an hour and a half or in 2 hours, I feel like I've done more work than when I'm in the library for 6 hours. So that's why, to me, having a fixed structure where I'm like, okay, I'm going to force myself to be in the library for 6 hours, or force myself to read this book for 2 hours, it just didn't work for me, because there are days where you wake up and you're more productive than the other day. Like, your mind is more alert, your brain is more motivated, and you have to take advantage of those days. You can't expect your body to be robotic. You can't expect your way of learning to be robotic. Like, you don't have the same motivation every single day. So how can you have the same routine every single day? And then at the same time, at uni, you're not motivated by money, right? Because you're not earning anything. And I think money is probably the only thing that could get me to at least raise my, like, just because, everyone's motivated by money. I don't know who you are, but you're probably motivated by money. You just don't know. But if I know that I'm not getting paid for something, then at least I won't have that extra motivation that you get because of money every day, right? So there are some days where I'd wake up and I just don't want to do anything. And I think I had to learn in third year and fourth year those days where I wake up and I genuinely don't want to do anything, not that I'm being lazy, but I genuinely am not in the mood to do anything, I wouldn't do anything. Like, sometimes you guys would be seeing me playing Xbox all day and be like, what are you doing? Like, aren't you going uni? And I'll be like, no, I'm playing Xbox today. And to me, it worked for me because it brought me into an environment where it's like, okay, there are some feel good days, right? And if I play Xbox all day today, I probably wake up in the morning, feeling like, okay, I gave myself an off day yesterday, so today I'm going to work hard, right? And that to me was what worked. Like, if I finished a long day at uni and I feel like I've been productive, and I get home and I'm like, you know what, I'm knackered, I don't want to wake up early tomorrow morning, then I might watch a movie, sleep at like 2, 3 a.m. Then I know that, okay, I'm going to wake up at like 10 a.m. the next morning. And that means I have a line and those sort of things. Like, you have to genuinely read your body. And that's one thing I think a lot of students struggle with. They feel like they have to put in the hours. When I say work hard, it's not about the hours you spend working. It really, really, really isn't. Like, working hard has nothing to do with how long you work for.
Yeah.
It doesn't. It's about being productive when working. It's about, people say working smart, that kind of thing. It's like making sure that when you are working, you're actually working hard, because you can work 8 hours, but it doesn't mean you worked hard. Like, it just means you forced yourself to be in a spot for 8 hours. It doesn't mean you actually worked hard. And there is a big, mental side of, because your brain and your mind is not able to work hard every single day. I just don't believe that it is. I don't believe that anyone, unless, maybe some athletes and stuff like that, I don't know how many people can say for a fact every single day, 365 days a year, they're productive and they're able to work hard. You have to be able to read which days your body is ready, your mind is ready, and you yourself are ready, so that you don't burn out, so that you're consistent when you work, so that, your mental health is good. And then you also have time for other things and other things that can make you happy. So for me, structure and routine can be overrated. But it is good to have, some of it if you're that type of person that needs it. But yeah, I'm not that organized structure student at all.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, I'm flying the flag for you guys. Don't worry, it's possible, yeah?
Yeah, it's cool. I'll just edit this whole bit out.
Literally.
Nah, Spence. I mean, obviously you touched on, like, you play NBA, you play 2K a lot, you do a lot of, just hanging out, chilling. Yeah, spend the day every here and there, just like doing nothing. But what do you actively do? Like, obviously I know you do music a lot, but what do you actively do for, like, because you talked about, like, you're trying to be creative and stuff. So what's your, what do you do for fun? What do you do to allow yourself to be creative and to separate, your normal self from your academic self?
Yeah, I think for me, that's something I had to learn over time. So like you said, now I play music and stuff like that, but that wasn't something I was always doing. So I think during first year, just like with a lot of first years, you think, and especially for a lot of African students or Black students in general, there's an added pressure, like, what are you coming for to do at uni? You're here to learn, you're here to read your books, keep the main thing, and we think in our heads that means we have to be doing uni every single day and reading every single day and not making time for other things and that kind of stuff. So I definitely fell into that mindset, definitely first year. And then I burnt out toward the end of it and I was like, never again. So I started to, I always felt that I was quite boring as a person. I never really had extracurricular things. I never played the violin. I never played any sports, like literally any sports. I never, did the typical things that people would say, is an extracurricular activity. I just played video games, which I don't want to be sitting here talking about video games for 2 hours. Like, that's just it can be very, very boring. But one way that the time in my life where I really learned to do other things and fall in love with other things was when, and I'm not trying to get too deep here, but so when I found, myself having a lot of time to myself when I was single this year and having to, go through a period where you have to like fall in love with yourself and all those sort of things, right? So for me, during that period, I needed to find something to me that made me feel happy. And one of that is music, right? So I've always been somebody that listened to a lot of music. And, there was a period in second year actually that I used to play quite a lot, make quite a lot of playlists, and I did some for a few parties that we did, and they were good. But I always asked myself, like, this thing, a lot of my friends during uni, they were starting clothing brands and having a lot of side hustles, whether it's making food, baking, DJing, whatever. And I used to look at myself, I was like, what the hell is my side hustle? Like, what on earth do I want to, like, can I say that I can do and I can commercialize and I can make money out of? And I used to like literally beat myself up over it. Like, how come I have no side hustle or no thing that, is different that people do? Because you see a lot of people starting businesses around you. And, Jordan, you were telling me this before. So obviously in the first season of this podcast, you wanted to get a lot of the entrepreneurs on the podcast. And I've never really classed myself as an entrepreneur. Like, I've never, ever had an idea of starting a business or, something that's serious, right? I've never had an idea of, I can take this little thing that I'm good at and make money from it or widen my audience. So it was definitely very, very difficult for me to pick something. But with music, I think for me, it was just, obviously I have a lot of love for different genres, and, I just had to start by saying, okay, I love listening to music. Let me try playing it properly, right? So I've had a guitar before. I think the first guitar I ever got was like when I was age 12. Never really played it. Then I got to like age 16 and I got another one. People just buying me stuff that I never played. Like, you have a guitar. Do you even know what a G chord is, bro? Like, do you even know what an A chord is? Like,
what's a guitar?
I used to see his guitar in his room. I was like, I might steal it one day, just thinking you'd never notice. And I swear there was one time I did. I swear I took it from a room and I kept it in my room. Can you remember? Yeah, for months. And yeah, like for me, so I made the conscious decision that, okay, I like listening to music, I like playing music. Let me actually invest in it. And I went down to a store and I bought a really nice guitar. And I made an investment. So the guitar was quite expensive. Well, it was like intermediate. So it was like, and this is the thing, I didn't even realize how expensive guitars were until I went to try and buy one by myself. I was always given one and I was like, okay, no wonder people want me to play this thing because it's actually expensive to buy these. Right. So I one that was like, I think it was like £400 at the time. And I was like, okay, if I'm making this investment to buy a guitar now I have to play. Like, there is no excuse to leave it to rot like with the other ones. So yeah, like every day. And once I had so much time for myself, it was just about learning every day. And I remember I set myself a goal to play a cultural showcase that we had. So I bought the guitar, I think October, November. And the showcase we had was in March. So I said, I have 5 months to learn, or 3-4 months to learn how to play this thing and be ready for the showcase. And eventually I was able to invite my friends, and people were able to hear me play as part of a band. And that to me was like a recognition of just coming so far and learning how to do it and learning how to play. Because it's hard. It's really hard to learn how to play an instrument. But then you have to enjoy the process. You have to enjoy learning it, because if you don't enjoy learning, you won't enjoy playing, because you're always time even when you are playing. And then since then, because I realized, okay, I've come so far, I'm doing well, let me keep going. I started posting stuff on my Instagram page, and I don't even do it to get like views and likes. Obviously, I do want my friends to like comment here and there and I like it.
Yeah.
I messaged a few of them. I was like, guys, come on, man, support your boy. I can't be putting this and getting 10 likes. You know what I mean? Like, come on. But then one thing I started doing my, I forgot that with Instagram you can hashtag, so then other people can see it. So I started doing that, and then I didn't need to ask anyone to support it anymore. But then, the reason I post is not because I want to impress people, because look, there are so many far better players than me. And I get this, thing where every time I post, like literally 10 seconds after I post, I'm like, this is dog, like this is rubbish. I shouldn't have posted. And there's some that I've posted and deleted before anyone even got to see them. But I've stopped doing that because I've realized it's about documenting my progress and seeing where I was at the start when I didn't know scales, I didn't really know chords, I didn't know progressions. But now I can put songs. Now I'm getting better with my speed, right? So I don't post it for other people. I actually post it for myself. Obviously, you want recognition and you want people to say, "Oh, well done, this sounds good," just so that you feel like you're doing something right. But the main thing is just to see how far I'm going. So, and then now I've got to a stage where it's like, okay, I enjoy playing guitar, but one thing that has always been the wider goal is to take that further and make music, like make actual music, not just making covers, but make actual music, make, beats and stuff like that. So I bought a MIDI keyboard. I've been using that with GarageBand. I'm going to get FL Studio soon or Ableton and actually start making beats. Because you don't believe me now, but I promise you, I feel like I was put on this earth to make beats.
I hear that.
It's engineering thing. I was put on this earth to make beats,
Not so cool, man, bro.
So eventually, that's where I want to get to. I want to be somebody that can, go on, make a few tracks. I might never do anything. I might just put it on SoundCloud or just keep it to myself. But, I do like I want to be able to make music eventually. So that's one thing that's been a side hobby. Another thing has been cycling and getting fit and trying to be fit. So I bought a bike this year as well. Trying to get fit, exercise, and then I bought another bike just a few weeks ago. That's a lighter road bike. And that's one thing I've been doing as well, just to keep fit and, keep myself busy. Cause now I'm in a period where between now and March, I'm not working. So it's really about just doing me, like just actually finding things rather than just sitting down and playing Xbox all day. Actually finding things that I can do in my spare time. And another thing that for me really, I guess, saved my life or like just helped me be more comfortable and improve my mental health was basketball, right? So if you follow me on social media pages, you'll see that the thing I talk about really is basketball. Maybe it's boring and I understand that. I think I do need to actually make another Instagram page because I do want to make my own podcast for it and my own content for it. That's one thing I've been thinking of doing. But again, basketball, watching it, understanding X and O's, that's one thing that I've been doing quite well over the past few months. So as a student, I guess the advice is just really when you're setting about trying to find what works for you, don't try and imitate what your friends are doing. Because that was one thing that I guess was my stumbling block. Because I saw my friends were entrepreneurs, I was thinking, I need to be an entrepreneur. If my friends are starting clothing brands, I'm thinking I need to start a clothing brand. But that's the thing. Like, that's just not my lane. Like, I'm not a fashion guy, right? I don't see many of my friends making music, so that can be something that's for me, right? Like basketball, like that's nothing I don't see any of my friends doing, and that's for me. Right. So you have to understand that there is your own lane, whatever it is in life, you're going to find your own lane, whether it's, if you're a girl listening to this and, you want to be a nail tech or you want to do lashes or you want to be an MUA or you want to, whatever you want to do, like whatever, if you want to make music, whatever, because, with girls and guys, our tendency is just to see, oh, this is what my girls are doing. This is what my guys are doing. I need to copy them as well. But you just might not be good at it. Like, if I wanted to make clothing, I would make the worst clothes ever. Like, I would mix the worst colors ever, and if my friends wanted to make music, they'd probably make the worst music ever, that's what, right? So you have to find whatever it is that makes yourself, love yourself, and what makes you, and you don't have to be good at it. And that's the thing. You don't have to be good at it when you start. You just have to be at a point where when you're doing it and when you're trying it, you actually enjoy the process of doing it.
It's kind of about finding your own lane and finding, like, I guess what gives you energy, what makes you feel good.
Yeah, man. What's yours, Jordan? This podcast?
Come on. This podcast and first year, man, that's all I enjoy.
Oh my days. Now, trust me, when I start my own basketball podcast, people will know, because I've learned so much lately, and I don't know why I haven't done that. I just keep putting it on my own page, but I think I need to create another Instagram page. I'll probably do it just after this podcast now. Could be motivating.
Subtle plug.
Right.
I'm trying to see you and Josh on a podcast.
On a basketball podcast?
Yeah, if you should do it. You should do like a NBA 2K one where you sit down and play and talk at the same time.
Yeah, I mean, it just wouldn't be that fun when I'm just beating him all the time.
Not to him. Nah, that's jokes. I see a lot of podcasts coming up at the moment, to be fair. I think it's nice to see what people have to say in it, because, like, obviously we talk a lot in uni. I talk to Brian, Ashley. We all have our own friends, but you rarely, unless you see them every day, get to sit down and just chat, for hours on end about, whatever the hell it is relevant. Like, even this, obviously right now, coronavirus is difficult, but it's definitely good to hear. And it's especially to find out things that you never thought you knew before. Like, I always saw you a competitive person, but it's interesting to hear you say it in your own words, is kind of explore your own, like, feelings.
Yeah.
So,
like, I was definitely, I think this year, so a few of us started podcasts. So I think, obviously, I'm the newest member of the Halftime Tangerines podcast, even, which you, Brian, and a few others had started. And I was even surprised when you started this. I was even going to ask, like, I'm not the host and stuff, so I hope I can ask you this. Like, why did you start this? Like, what was the whole thinking behind it?
Yeah, for me, honestly, it was like, when I was going through uni myself, and, still am, I was always like, I could have avoided these issues if I had known about them. Like, if I knew that, first year didn't count, maybe I would have acted differently. If I knew that time management was important, maybe I would have managed time differently. If I knew that, for example, with Bristol in particular, it's like, if I knew we had financial assistance fund, hardship, all these things, maybe I would have applied.
Oh, yeah, fast. Oh, my God.
Yeah. All these things that I never knew until they were way too late. And I feel like the best source of knowledge isn't really the uni itself, because they tell you things here and there in emails, but it's never specific. I think the best way to learn and to understand, like, what to do and how to do it better is by hearing from other students, hearing their own experiences during lessons, and taking from that, what you can apply to yourself. But we've never really had that. I mean, of course, we have our friends at uni, we have each other. I think I found out about hardship through Brian, I think. And I found out about, engineering things through Ash, but there's so much more out there. And if I just knew that coming into uni, I feel like a lot of people as well would have been able to avoid a lot of issues. Like, I very much see it as kind of like, uni's kind of like a road. You're kind of crossing a road in life. And the whole point of this podcast is kind of like to set up traffic lights. So, yeah, don't do that. Moses said this, so maybe I shouldn't. I just think once or twice about doing that. And kind of giving I'm giving my younger self what I thought I needed. And that's kind of what I'm planning to do, going through episode here.
No, absolutely. Looking back, honestly, I made a lot of mistakes in uni, like we all do. And if there was, whether it's money management, time management, the type of people you hang out with, or, just everything, like, it's such a maze, is uni. And my brother just started at Loughborough Uni literally like 2 days ago.
Yeah, shout out to him.
Yeah, shout out to him. Shout out to Sam. And, I think one thing I told him was just, look, you're gonna make mistakes. Like, I literally told him straight up, like, when I was at uni, I know the mistakes I made. And sometimes I had this issue. I was like saying, my sisters didn't tell me these things were going to happen. Right. And, their journey just was different. Right. So they didn't make the mistakes I did. I just made my own mistakes. And, I was thinking they would go out there and they'll tell me everything I should expect. And nobody can, because everyone's journey is different. But I did not actually know that uni was going to be 4 years of trial and error.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
essentially that is what it is. It's 4 years of trial and error. And hopefully by the time you come out, you are ready to face the world knowing which errors you've made. And then, the sad part is that there's still more errors that you're going to make, right? But at least you know a lot of the fundamental ones, just from a living as an individual person standpoint, you sort of understand some things that you should do, shouldn't do. And that is what uni is. Like, it was tough, definitely, I think, as Black students as well. So I'm a Black person, you are a black person as well.
Yeah.
We didn't really have that many, people to hear from, right? So I think for me, even before I came to Bristol, I never actually visited the uni. I never knew anything about the city. I didn't know anyone that had gone there. And you typically get that from a lot of Black students who are going to uni, either as the first students in their family, in their immediate family or external family, that sort of thing. I wasn't the first student in my family, but I just didn't have that many people around me outside of my family that had gone to university, right?
Mm.
So learning about uni was more about learning on the job, learning whilst you're there. And I didn't really go to any talks or any events. I didn't watch any YouTube videos, and maybe some of it's on me. I just wasn't that person that had to learn about everything. And I did want to make my own mistakes as well. But it is a maze. And if you're in first year listening, or even second year and third year, you're still in that maze. Like, you're really at a stage where you're finding out a lot about yourself. And that's the most important thing. It's not even the biggest challenges at uni. Of course, it's the degree and learning and doing what you're doing. But honestly, the biggest challenges I had at uni was with myself, with learning who I am, what I like, the type of relationships I want to build, the type of person I want to be, what my character is, what drives me, what are my goals. Like, it's such an individual challenge before you even get to the challenges of the degree, right? And you actually realize you're doing life and uni's a side hustle, right? It's not the other way around. I don't think you finish, because there's the thing, you go into uni, you do a degree in whatever field, and you come out and you work in a completely different field. So explain to me, if the degree is the most important thing at uni, why a lot of people do that. Because when you're making that switch to a different career, it's because you're finding out who you are as a person, as an individual, like what you like, what you want to do, the type of places you want to work, what you want to experience, what you want to explore. Like, you then, and it goes to, to the rest of your life, not just your career, like how you want to be, what type of parent you want to be in the future, what type of wife or husband or whatever sort of thing you want to be in the future. Like, you learn these things, and you only just start learning though, because you still got a long way to go, even outside of uni. But you really start that process of maturing at uni, and that's actually, to me, the most difficult thing, because that's where you make the most mistakes, because you can't make as many mistakes within uni in terms of within your degree and course, as you can do outside of it. Because end of the day, with every exam or coursework, yeah, you make the same mistakes every other student has, but then you know what the right answer should have been, or how to do better for the next exam. But with life, when you make a mistake, it's not necessarily the same mistakes everyone has done. There is no answer booklet to know what the right answer should have been, and then you don't know what the next question is going to be. So it's like, where do you go from there?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So the hardest part of uni, to me, is just developing as a person.
I'm like, on that, what do you think changed the most since you started uni to, of course, where you are now, having graduated?
I think my goals, like just what I want, what I want in life. I think I changed as a person, definitely. But in terms of change the most, I mean, I'd to say I'm probably just as immature as I was in first year as I am now. So I can't even lie on here. I can't be lying out here. Oh, yeah, I matured a lot. I'm very mature.
Yeah, we've seen you.
But, facts. But yeah, for me, what changed the most is what I want in life. And, I changed my career. So I did 4 years of aerospace engineering, and the last thing I want to be in this world is an aerospace engineer. So
Okay.
I'll put it out there. Like, look, I'm sorry to any aerospace engineers currently that are listening. It is a horrible time to graduate as an aerospace engineer. We're not getting flights back, like regular flights back, until probably 2022, 2023, unless a vaccine comes out earlier. A lot of our projects have to be put on hold. The supply chain is disrupted because of COVID. A lot of aerospace companies have lost so much money where there's not enough investment in research and development. So yeah, I'm really not selling my degree right now, but what I am selling is what I will always speak the most about with aerospace is the transferable skills, learning like how to be a problem solver and how valuable the degree is outside of like in any industry, like literally in any industry. And then also the variety of things that you learn. You can learn about space, you can learn about civil, you can learn about defense, you can learn about drones, you can learn about nature, climate change, whatever you can learn about it with that degree. So, not to, shit on the degree. Sorry if you have to bleep that out, but
All good.
It's all good. We're all grown ups here. All right, cool. Yeah, not to, like play down how, but, yeah, it's just not a great time to currently be an aerospace graduate. But yeah, so for me, I haven't made the decision to leave aerospace. So before this year, before COVID hit. So for me, that decision came at the end of second year when I did a internship. And that's one thing as well. You've probably had podcasts where you've advised students to do this. Please, 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 if you're a student and you want to go into any field, any career, do an internship, get some work experience in your field of choice. Like, I speak to people now that didn't do any internships at uni. How? I know it's not easy. Like, I know I'm not, there are reasons, but just at least try and apply for some. Please don't go through 4 years or 3 years and not have applied to any single one because you don't know what you actually like. So I did my internship at BAE Systems, in Preston.
Nice.
Yeah. So that's when I realized, okay, aerospace is the last thing I want to do, just because I just didn't have the personality fit for it. Living in Preston is one thing I never wanted to do, or living in other rural areas where a lot of aerospace firms are. So there's Stilton near Bristol, but it's still not a great area. There's some other places like Derby, Sheffield, some places in the east of England, none really in London, none really in Birmingham, Manchester.
All these manufacturing places are so far out.
Yeah, they're so far out, right? So that to me, I didn't have, I just don't want to live in these areas. I want to be able to live where I see black people. And I can send my kids to schools where there are black people. I didn't want to be the only black person at the workplace, being surrounded by middle-aged white men all the time, not really seeing career progression for people like me or graduates. So, and then also the projects as well. A lot of them were long-term projects because in aerospace, to build a military aircraft can take 20 years, can take 25 years, can take 30 years. So for anyone telling me, oh yeah, you could be on a 25-year project, no, thank you, because I'm not dedicating my life for 25 years of doing the same thing, right? So,
I'm 25 years old. That's like a lifetime for us.
I mean, like literally, I would have started, if I started an aerospace project from when I was born, there's a very good chance I've not finished it. And then there's still a chance the project might never actually fulfill. Like, I mean, it's terrible. So yeah, I came out of that and I was like, okay, what do I want to do now? And honestly, I won't lie. And this is just the thing. This is that external competition again. I saw my friends getting internships in finance and I looked at them. I looked at the grades I was getting. I looked at the grades they were getting. And I was like, well, they don't have two heads. If they can do it, why can't I?
Mm.
And then at the same time, they were telling me a lot of these finance companies pay way, way, way above aerospace, right? And that's just facts, right? Finance, computer science, consultancy, for any of the big firms, they pay more than aerospace companies do. And aerospace pays well. I think the average aerospace graduate salary is 32K, which is actually quite good. Compared to, I think, average graduate salaries are like 27 or 26 or whatever it is. Then I'm hearing these places are starting with 50.
Yeah, 45, 50.
And I'm like, well, 50 is greater than 32. and this is the thing. I realized that I'd lost my passion for aerospace. So yeah, I wanted to find a passion for something else. And I realized I was one of those people that whilst I was at work, whilst I was doing my internship, I do need to enjoy what I'm doing. Like I can't be somewhere and hate my job. I don't care how much it pays me. I cannot hate my job. Because once you get the ick with any job, the days are numbered for that job. Because you will quit. You will get out of there. Once you get the ick, it's over. And it's just about delaying that process. Because it will happen. I mean, the way we're programmed now is not the same way our parents were, where they can work at the same place for like 20 years. Now it's 5-7 years and then we move, right? We find something new.
Yeah.
So yeah, for me, I made the decision to go into finance for a couple of reasons. Obviously, money is one, like you can't deny it. Like everyone can't, like you can't deny it. And then another thing for me was just being able to transfer my skills, right? And being able to use the same skills that I would use in aerospace, but in a different function. So one division that stood out to me the most within finance was research, because with aerospace, you research all the time. You're finding out new things all the time and implementing whatever knowledge you've learned.
Yeah.
Research is just the same, right? So whether it's you're researching a company or a country or, policies or whatever, you're using that to influence the decisions you make. So I looked into getting into research in banking firms. I applied for consultancies as well. I applied for technology. And then during that whole process of trying to find what else it is that I'm interested in, when you're doing interviews, when you're applying for things, that's when I realized, okay, I can enjoy this. I can enjoy that. I can enjoy this. There's more to my life than just being an aerospace engineer. So eventually I settled on going to research, a bank, and then I did my internship and I realized, like I said just earlier, I can't do a job I don't like. So I did my first internship and I realized as much as I like being in this firm and doing research within a bank, this specific part of research I didn't like as much, right?
Yeah.
And I said to myself, I'm going to bet on myself and I'm going to come back again on another internship and try and convert. Because the way these internships work is you have 10 weeks, you're an option for a full-time role. Like end of the 10 weeks or week 9, and I said to HR, as much as I love my time here, I just think this isn't working out for me. Can I please come back on another internship for another division? And that is a big gamble to make because you're turning down a graduate role.
Yeah.
Right? Down a job as soon as you finish uni. And little did I know that there was going to be a pandemic. And this is the thing, like for anyone that's currently in a situation where they have a job offer and, they don't want to accept it and stuff, just take your time to make that decision. Because if I knew a pandemic was coming, I don't know if I would have turned that down just because of the uncertainty and the added pressure you have when you're now there and you realize if you don't get this job, you're probably not getting a job again for another year because of this pandemic, right? Because no one's hiring. So it was a tough decision to make at the time. I didn't know the pandemic was coming, but I made it because I wanted to bet on myself. And I said to myself, this is what I want to do. This is the career that I want to be in. And I just want to be happy doing my job every day. Cause once you start working, it's till life. It's every day. It doesn't stop. It's Monday to Friday a year, 28 days holiday a year. But for the other 47 days, you're working.
Yeah.
Or 337 days. You're working.
37, yeah.
So you want to make sure you're making the right decision. And, happily I was able to come back on another internship this year, which was virtual, and secure the grad role full time to start in March. But yeah, it was a long journey transitioning from aerospace to banking. And, it's something that I would say if you're at uni now and you're doing engineering or any STEM subjects, definitely give finance a think, just because number one, you don't want to limit yourself. You don't want to box yourself in. You don't want to say, this is the only career I'm doing, because, well, first of all, why? Like, what's so great about what you think you're doing that you can't do somewhere else, or no other place can offer you the same opportunity? Like, I don't know if there is. I don't think there is one perfect career or perfect job, right? And you just have to keep an open mindset and realize that you as a student, you're good enough to get into these places. You're good enough to work anywhere, right? And that's one thing I had to learn. Like, I had to learn just how to build my confidence up, right? So, if you know me, you might think I'm an externally confident person, and I do think I am. But I did struggle with a lot of internal confidence, right? Because it's two different things. A lot of people think to be confident is to just be boastful and arrogant or whatever. And I'd probably say when I say I'm externally confident, like, to anyone, I definitely give off the vibe that I love myself, and, I'm not narcissistic or anything, but I definitely give off the vibe that I really believe in myself and everything I'm doing. But I guess that's like overcompensating at times for the lack of inner confidence, right? And, when I was applying to these roles, or when I did my first internship, that's one thing I had to learn, because I can remember I was there in my first internship, and senior management, senior people within the firm would ask me, oh, what do I do? And I'd say I do aerospace engineering, and they'd be like, wow, that's amazing. And my immediate thought was to downplay it.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
And it's like, maybe it's imposter syndrome, or just like not really believing in yourself or whatever, like not believing that you're meant to be where you are. But I always had that thought of, I need to downplay my achievements because I'm not as good as I think I am. And it was so unhealthy. And I thank God for, the people that he put around me at that workplace, especially my boss, who was an African American man. And he literally pulled me aside one day and was like, why the hell do you keep shitting on yourself? Like, why do you keep downplaying your achievements? Like, he literally was angry at me, because I can remember we were in one meeting and we were going around as interns saying what we did, what unis we did it, what degrees we're doing, blah, blah, blah. And everyone was so positive about what they were doing. And then I was the only one there saying, oh yeah, I do aerospace, but I don't really like it. It's not really like, I mean, and I was just there mumbling, like trying to downplay it. And it was so embarrassing looking back, but that's something I'd always done. And I got to that when I was having a side meeting with him, and he was explaining to me, like, why are you shitting on yourself? That's when I realized, okay, I have an internal confidence problem. Like, I genuinely have an internal confidence problem where even with everything I've achieved, even against all the odds of everything I've achieved, the fact that, 10,000 people apply for these internships, and within my specific division, I was the only one. Right? I don't know if 10,000 people applied for that role, but, you can imagine just as it filters through whatever percentage of people apply to research, I still would say it was a less than 2% chance to get that role, right?
Yeah.
But I was the only one, the only intern there. And, even with my degree, like I got firsts every single year whilst at uni. But even that in itself, those achievements, and this is what I'm saying, like internal motivation and internal confidence, it's so like detached from external achievements, external praise, external motivation. Like it's just not the same. Like you can achieve all these things and still doubt yourself every day.
Mm.
And that was one thing that I definitely had to learn and develop over the past year, was just being confident in myself, not because of what I've achieved, but being confident in myself that I'm good enough to do things. And it's not because I got a first or it's because I got this internship. No, because when I already had those things, I still wasn't confident in myself. But now I do believe that I am more confident in myself, but it has nothing to do with what I've achieved. It really boils down to the things I did this year to really fall in love with myself and like really, really like myself and really, be proud of the things I'm doing. It's nothing to do with what I've achieved externally, because there's no amount of praise. There's no amount of well dones. There's no amount of achievements and trophies that will make you really believe in yourself. Genuinely. So for me, that was a big learning curve. And, I really appreciate my boss at the time for pulling me aside and literally telling me off, like, listen, to be an aerospace engineering student, first of all, as a black person, in my course, there was 140 of us to start with, and there were only 3 or 4 black people. To be within the internship class where, there's only, let's say, 10 black people out of 160, to be the only intern in his division, he was like, why would you still doubt that you're not good enough to do these things? And that's when I realized it has nothing to do with this thing. But then I did, start to realize, okay, I have accomplished all these things, so I can't be as bad as I think I am. Right? But you need to draw that internal confidence, not from what you've achieved, but just in really believing in yourself and loving yourself and understanding that you're good enough and you're not taking someone else's space. Like, this is where you're meant to be and you deserve the things that you've achieved in life. And it's tough. Like, I don't know why I felt that way growing up. I don't know. I think, I guess moving a lot growing up definitely had played a part in that, because you're always having to start again and meet new people and change personalities and adapt and fit in. You start to lose who you are a bit, and you start to, really doubt if you're good enough for certain spaces and all those things. And then it can become bigger and bigger, right? And, I think for me, my internal confidence just wasn't there at times, even though you would never, ever, ever guess that from knowing me. You would never guess that.
Yeah, like I'm surprised even hearing you talk about it.
Yeah, I'll be the first person to scream about how good I am outside, like, to other people, but I'll be the first person as well when I'm by myself in my room and I'm applying for something to doubt myself. Like I said, even when I play guitar and stuff, like sometimes I'll post and I'll delete it straight away. Just because, like, I'm thinking, oh, no, that was rubbish. That wasn't good enough. Like, and it can be little things. And I think sometimes we let the little things just go on for too long, and then you realize, okay, my internal confidence is reaching, my lack of internal confidence is reaching into other aspects of my life. And that's one thing, as a student, over your 4 years at uni, you have to build. And so, to answer the question, I went the most long-winded route about it. The one thing that has changed is just what I want in life, what my career path, and then also, building like my own character, like building my own confidence, building that love for myself, building that whole understanding of, who I am as a person, what makes me happy, what doesn't make me happy. Those sort of things is what changed the most at uni.
Yeah. Very long, but good answer, man.
Sorry, I tend to go into a lot of stories. Hopefully you're following what I'm saying.
Yeah, it's good. I mean, I was going to ask you about a lot of that anyway, so it's nice to get, I guess, bits of everything.
Yeah.
But no, I hear you for sure. Like, I guess a big part of that as well is like imposter syndrome. Like, you don't really believe that you've done it. You don't really believe, even though like you have all these, accolades and achievements. It's like, even me myself, I often feel like, okay, yeah, I've got a good A levels, I've got a YouTube channel, podcast, etc., etc. But like, this isn't really me. Do I really deserve this? And I think like you kind of touched on it as well. But I think another way to articulate it is that it's hard to have that confidence that yes, you believe like in who you are as your, because otherwise you're always like just looking at, Moses Ola did this, but it's like, but that's not me. And until you kind of know exactly who you are, and then you can prove that, not only do I know who I am, also I can do this, I can do that, and you believe in your potential. I think like that's something that I've had to come through with uni as well. It's like, granted, I think it hurt me a lot failing the first time, because it's like, shit, maybe I'm not as smart as I think I am. But then once I, took a while, thought about it, kind of discovered like who you really are. And it's like, granted I failed, but like, that's not, I'm not dumb because I failed 1 year at uni. I know who I am. I know what I'm capable of. And whether that shows here physically, whether that shows externally, internally, like you have to know what that is. And then again, like believe in that. And that's kind of what, I think another way, that's how I'd articulate what part of what you were just saying.
Yeah, and one thing that really can affect your internal confidence is just looking at, if you start comparing yourself to other people, and, I am somebody, like I've said already, I drive a lot of external motivation by looking at what other people are doing and trying to achieve that. So, this is why I'm saying it is unhealthy at times, because you can also look at what other people are doing, and then you realize you can't achieve that. And then you start doubting yourself. Because it's not everything everyone can do that you can match them with. Trust me. Like, It's not. And that is why I'm saying, I probably do need to see a therapist at some point. but
I hope your wife gives you free counseling and free private healthcare, man.
No, honestly, yeah, that's a great thing. I actually do get private healthcare, so I'm definitely going to have to use that to just, make sure I don't start breaking down at work and stuff like that. But, no, honestly, but, internal confidence, it's tough. Like, it's really, really, really tough. Like, I have, like, even of my friends, and this is why you can't compare yourself to people, because the people that you're comparing yourself to, they're struggling with the same thing. Like, I have a friend of mine, who, like, has his own fashion line and stuff like that. And sometimes he doubts himself when I'm thinking, why are you doubting yourself? But like, you look at all the stuff that you've done, like, and I'm supporting stuff. But then you realize everyone's going through that same internal struggle. Like, I should have been made my basketball podcast. I should have been made my page where I, do these things, because I'm really good at it. Like, I can break down a pick and roll. I can break down a 2-3 zone. Like, I can genuinely break it down to you. But why haven't I done it? Because I'm thinking, oh, who's going to care about it? Who's going to listen to it? Who's going to share it? Why does anyone want to listen to that in the UK? But then in the UK, there's a big gap. Like, we don't really have basketball podcasts. We don't really have people that, are creative. And then I'll be saying, oh, I'm not a creative. I can't edit stuff. I can't, make things sound, all good and fun like some of my favorite podcasts I listen to. But then you have to realize these guys all started somewhere. You're not going to be good overnight. And it's a daily struggle to beat that doubting aspect, that whole, I can't do this. What's the point? I can't do this. Like, that internal confidence, it's not something that I don't think it's something you wake up and you realize, oh, I've achieved internal confidence. No, it's more about building it every day and denying the tendencies to doubt yourself every day. It's tough. It's tough. It's one of the hardest things you can do. But once you start putting yourself out there, day by day, little by little, you start realizing, okay, I can do this. And yeah, it's one of the hardest things as a student. And I do hope for all the students that listen to this, you will get to that point where, even when you do doubt yourself, at least you're just gonna, shut down doubting voice and say, I'm still going to go for it.
Yeah. Like for me, I think, like I said, kind of last point on this, I want to ask a different question as well, but my difficulty with that is I think people, and myself included, when I was growing up, I never really understood how, exponential growth works. And I'm sure you maybe can talk on this as well, but it's like, most of the time, like whenever you do something, you suck. Like it's hard to be good at, playing guitar on you. It's hard to get good at making podcasts. It's hard to get good at maths, engineering, whatever. But like the fact of the matter is, if you start today, in a year's time from now, it can be way better. Whereas if you start tomorrow, it's going to take even longer. And like, even when it comes to like, self-confidence, like sometimes I tell myself like, I'm not good enough to work at Google because I can't code. It's like, yeah, you're not good enough, but you can be if you just start today. Like there are so many things that kind of just, I don't know, like I'm laughing and say I'm smiling. Like I've got goosebumps, but it's like, if you just start, if you just work, if you just put the effort and time in, like what's that saying where it's like, you only get out what you put in? Like that same thing exists, but like times 20 when it comes to life, and like times 100 at uni. Because if you don't put anything in, you can't be surprised nothing comes out. Whereas if you put in, if you go to one lecture a week, suddenly you're getting a 2-2. Make that 3 lectures, you're getting a 2, or make that, 5 lectures and a bit of blackboard here and there, you get in a first. Like, 'cause people need to have a better understanding, I think, of, a bigger grasp of what it means to work day by day and to exponentially grow and improve or something.
Yeah, it's like, you build your habits and then they build you. Right. So definitely need to, because, it's easier said than done, like, look, I'll tell you now, oh yeah, you need to build your internal confidence, but I'll be the first person to doubt myself tomorrow. And that's what I'm trying to say. Like, I'm trying to say to you, like, it's not a thing where you get to a point and you're the most internally confident person. Maybe there are some people that are just so strong-willed and they won't ever let the doubts creep in, and they just have a really strong mindset, and kudos to those people. But for the rest of us mere mortals, we struggle with it every day. And, sometimes you do have to, and you can overcome it in different ways. It could be, looking back, counting your blessings and understanding how good you are. It could come from somebody motivating you or telling you, you're good and helping you believe in yourself. But, for me, the long lasting, real fundamental way of building internal confidence is really, really just loving yourself, like genuinely being proud of who you are, whatever that is. You just need to be proud of what you're doing, even when you're not doing anything. Be proud of just, you don't need to have a business or a degree to be proud of. You need to be proud of yourself as who you are currently. And that's what builds internal confidence.
Yeah, for sure. I think this last question I want to ask, well, actually, you know what? Just two. Well, I'll put them together. Like,
go on.
I was going to ask before about, because you touched on it briefly anyway, but to elaborate a bit more on your experience, moving around a lot growing up and how that kind of influenced the way you went about making friends and managing relationships in uni. And then the second part, well, not second part, but the second question I would have asked was, if you could go back and do uni again, like, would you, and what would you do differently?
Yeah, great questions. Definitely, I think the first one, my goodness, the first one, growing up, man, like I was a chameleon, and it really got to a point where I really lost who I was, like what my own identity was. So growing up, so I was born in Lagos, Nigeria. Shout out to all my Lagosians. So moved over to the UK. You don't get out of here, Joe. That's a this guy, man. Guy just wants a Lagos babe to make him jollof rice every day. This guy. But yeah. So growing up, so I moved. My first big move was obviously moving from Nigeria to the UK. Age 9. So then we moved and settled in Loughborough, lived in Loughborough for about 7 years. But whilst we were in Loughborough, we moved around a lot. Just like people think immigrants just come in here and just, we're suddenly rich and we have all this wealth and we're leeching off this country and listen, it's a tough road for a lot of immigrants. Like we end up moving from house to house because you don't have steady income, you don't have steady jobs. Sometimes you're good and you can live in a better place, and sometimes you lose your job, you lose your money, you have to live in a worse place. And those are the things that, my family went through. So yeah, when I was in Loughborough, I went to three different schools, so including primary schools. I went to primary school, so year 5, year 6. Then I went to another secondary school, year 7, year 8. Then I moved in year 8 to another school and did year 8, year 9, year 10 there.
Wow.
It's wrong. Yeah, was it year 8, year 9, year 10? Or was it just year 9, year 10? Well, yeah. I think I did year 8, year 9, year 10. So, yeah, it wasn't plain sailing. I wasn't always in the same place growing up. And that was difficult because when you move a lot, you have to make new friends. You have to fit in different environments. You have to be someone else. So I was a chameleon because I always had to adapt to suit my environment. Right? Like, fam, growing up, man, I used to listen to, well, I still do now. I listen to alternative music, indie music, because that's what all my friends were listening to. And if I didn't know what they were listening to, I wouldn't be able to talk to them about it, right? So, and I'm not saying I did it only because they did it, because I do like the genre, but these are things that I had to do growing up. Like, I just had to adapt to my environment, like what they like, be able to talk about things that they do. And for me, growing up was tough because I'm at a stage now and then after year 10, so I moved in between year 10, year 11, moved to Leeds. And then I went to school in year 11 and I went to another school for year 12, year 13. So between year 7 and year 13, I went to 4 schools.
Mad.
Right. So, and the longest I was at any school was 2 years.
Yeah.
So
that's a lot.
It's exactly. It's a lot. It's a lot to go through as a kid because you don't really get to build any long-lasting relationships. You don't really get to build any long-lasting friendships. I know the friendships that I did have that were long-lasting or should have been long-lasting, they ended up, so this was when I was in Loughborough and I moved to Leeds. So the friends that I had there, I ended up losing contact with them just because of distance, and you're kids, you can't really be visiting each other every day. It happens, like you grow apart. And then when I was in year 11, you don't really make friends in year 11. Like, people have known each other since year 7. And I was only there for 1 year in this school. So if I come in year 11 and no one sees me at the end of that year again, you don't really know them, right? You just know them for a year. And then even another thing, so anyone listening to this, GCSEs are overrated because I moved to schools between year 10 and year 11 and I only have 7 GCSEs because I had to drop 3 of them because the school I went to in Leeds when I came here is one of the poorest schools in the UK, period. So they couldn't even afford for me to do English literature GCSE. And so I don't have English lit, I don't have IT, I don't have business. I have 7 GCSEs and I'm still where I'm today. So imagine if I had 10 or 11 or 12 like some of you lot, right? So, you don't need them. Basically. So yeah, like I was in one school for 1 year in year 11. Didn't really make that many friends there, and then left there, was in another school in year 12, year 13, and a lot of these guys have been friends since like year 7. So you're only there for 2 years as well, and you don't really make long-lasting friendships. So it was definitely difficult because I just became this person that needed to just adapt and fit the environment where I was, and I already knew I wouldn't be there for more than 2 years. And to me, it became a thing where I never really had relationships or friendships that I ever looked long term about. Like I never had this hope in my heart that somebody would be my best friend forever. Like I've always just lived life thinking any relationship I have or friendship I have can be gone tomorrow. So without getting too deep about it and stuff like that, because it is something I've definitely worked on and improved on since. But, going into uni, I definitely had, what do they call it? Attachment issues or whatever, right? Where I never really went beyond surface level in friendships because it was a way to protect myself, because I always thought this friendship could be over anytime soon. So, it creeps into other things. It creeps into, if you have relationships with with someone, you don't really open up, you don't really trust that much. You just you're just always picturing, you might not have this relationship there tomorrow. Right. And that's definitely something that affected me when I was in any relationship. So it was definitely tough. It wasn't a rough upbringing. It was just, tough having to go through that every 2 years, that change. That's one thing I don't want for my children. I want to be in a position where, I'm financially stable and I can stay in the same place for their whole childhood, and they can grow up and build long lasting friendships and relationships. And then one thing that really definitely affected me, so living in Loughborough, living in Leeds, was I didn't really have that many black friends. And, when you don't have black friends, or you don't have black teachers, or you're not in black spaces, you don't really find your blackness until you're at uni. And, that's, obviously there's no expiry date. You're black forever. But if you don't understand who you are as a black person, what that means, why you should be proud of being black, you definitely grow up with, and every black person has grown up with that to some extent, but just that, what do they call it? Like just anti-blackness for yourself, right? That, not hatred, it's just the opposite of loving yourself for being black, right? So it's just not, you just don't love yourself for being black, that kind of thing. So that was something I found as I was at uni, and I made sure to cultivate only majority black friendships around me. And I did that for a reason, because, I needed to find my blackness. I needed to know what being black meant for me and how that influenced me, and why I should be proud of being black and my heritage and things like that. So yeah, if you're somebody that's moved around a lot, it's tough, because when you're a chameleon and you're changing and adapting for other people, you really get to a point where it's like, you don't even know who you are. Like, you don't know what you are as a person, right? You're just what you need to be at that certain moment. And over the past 2 years, I started to actually realize what I am as a person, who I am, and what I like and what I don't like, and why I love myself and what things I love about myself. These are things that you realize when you're much later. And that's why I'm saying there is no expiry date, and it's something that happens as you grow up. But I do wish I was able to know that from an earlier age, because then I wouldn't have made the same mistakes I did when you're older. But I wouldn't change it any other way. I like who I am now. I'm positive on myself, but it's really tough growing up, having to change. And when I come back to Leeds now, when I'm basically with my parents, I don't really hang out with that many people around here. So now I have more time for myself, and because now I've put in that work of learning to love myself when I'm alone with myself and things like that, I'm not too bothered by it, right? I don't need to be hanging out with people that I don't really know or care about like that, because I'm very comfortable being by myself, because I've put in that time to, really find out what I like, So, and then what was your second question? It was, if I could change anything, right?
Yeah, so would you do uni?
Yeah. So if I could change anything at uni, my goodness, money management, man. I used to waste money. Oh my gosh. Not too much though. I wasn't somebody that was reckless with money. I just, if it's between going out and not going out, 9 out of 10 times, I'd probably take the decision to go out and waste my money. And then I'll be like, I'm broke the week after. I mean, I think I could have been better with money management. I still can be better with money management. So that's the one thing that I think comes to my head. Apart from that, really, I don't know. I feel like whatever happened at uni had to happen. I don't think there's anything that I need to look back and think, I should have changed this, or I should have done that much better here. I don't really have regrets, really. Whatever happened had to happen for me to be where I'm at right now. And that's the way I look at it.
Yeah. So you wouldn't really change it. It's kind of just maybe a different perspective.
Yeah, I mean, I think, okay, if I was to have a different perspective on things, okay, that's different. So rather than changing, just if there's anything I would have a different perspective on, like, I don't know, the way I'd approach it. Let me think. It's tough. I think for me, the only thing I would change is just like, and within, this isn't a couples counseling podcast, so you don't have time to go. I'm not speaking to Oloni, but the only thing I would change is like just, relationships, right? The type of people you be in relationships with and, those sort of things. But I mean, everyone has that, right? So it's not really anything to do with uni. I think in terms of the degree, the course, there's not really much that I would look at different. I do think, and I'm not saying I handled everything perfectly. I don't think I did. I'm just saying the way it happened is the way it had to happen. In terms of, one thing I'd probably do is just, I'd have been more willing and open to looking at different careers from first year. So I definitely didn't have that thought until I think end of second year, or middle of second year, which is probably later than some people did. So in first year, because I think I only realized halfway through uni that I'm not here for a degree. I'm here to get a job.
Yep.
You're not there for a degree. That's the one thing that every student needs to get in their big head. You're not there for your degree. You're there to get a job or a business or whatever. You're there. You're making an investment for you to generate future wealth or growth or success or whatever you want to, call it, or find your passion. Uni is an investment vehicle, for where you want to be. You're not there for the degree. So that's the one thing I think I didn't realize until about halfway through or later on. And then again, that's from not, talking to people, not understanding things. But uni is not there for you to get a degree. It's there for you to learn and use to develop what you want to be in the future or what you want to achieve in the future. So that's one thing I definitely have a different perspective on going back.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I like that. I think one quote that I remember from you, this is like one of the most poignant things in my head from like the 4 years I had at uni was we were sitting around, I think it was a party going on, and we're just sitting around and someone drew a corn streets chilling second year. And you came in and said you were like in school, you said your teacher said people go to uni, you meet your wife, you find a girl, you settle down, and you go, even though you haven't found a girl yet, you found the boys, and that's what counts.
Word, fam. Oh my days. We used to have the same thing. We used to say to each other, at least I found you, man.
Word.
And we'd say it, and we'd have this, everyone would be looking at themselves with this sly, yeah, this about you, man. But you know what, man? I can't trade you lot for anything. Like I said, because I moved around a lot, my friendship group at uni is the longest friendship group I've ever had in my life. I don't have a friend older than 4 years. And that's crazy. Like, that is actually crazy. I mean, I have some childhood friends that like I grew up with in Nigeria and I've seen since I've come here, and they've studied here and gone back and stuff like that. But in terms of daily friendships, people that I can speak to every single day and I can trust with stuff and stuff like that, or closer friends, my inner circle, I don't have any friend that I've known beyond first year. I mean, since, so before first year. So I have 4-year-old friendships, and it's exciting because, I still have so much of my life to have you guys around for, right? And I guess, I guess the only positive of not having friendships from when I was that much younger is because now I get to experience everything with all of you guys. And, I'm getting to a stage where hopefully in the future, as I build wealth and get a job and stuff like that, I can afford holidays and build memories with these people. And, when you're at school, fair enough. Yeah, you're able to to build memories while at school, but it's not the same thing as skydiving off, the coast of South Africa or something, or being in Dubai and having 3 weeks, in a boys' holiday, that kind of thing, right? It's not the same. Like, I'm able to have those experiences now with you guys, and not have to deal with all the drama that went through with secondary school friends, that kind of stuff. So it's really exciting. Like, I'm so happy for the people that I have around me, all the friends that I have around me, because we're still really young in friendship, right? So yeah, at least I have you, man.
Come on, big love, bro.
Right.
That's the motto for uni, man. Just find the boys, get an internship,
Find
and you'll
the
be okay.
boys, man. Find the boys, find a job. That's it.
Honestly.
Find the boys, find a job.